Hi everybody, I hope you're all doing really well. Back today to do another little bookish chat, giving you updates on all of the things I've been getting up to the past week or so. First off, starting with the books that I've been reading. You'll know that I've been buddy reading both The Miniaturist and The House of Fortune by Jessie Burton alongside Emily at Novell Novels, and I'm very happy to say that we ended up finishing off The Miniaturist this weekend. I hadn't read this since 2014 when it first came out, so wanted to refresh myself ahead of reading the sequel, and I'm really glad that we read this. I feel like I wouldn't have been best placed to have just jumped into the sequel. This has reoriented me back into the story so much better, and I feel like I appreciated a lot more of the themes and especially the history, the context of Amsterdam in the 17th century, from just being that little bit older, being maybe, I hope, a little bit more knowledgeable. And it's been really lovely to check in with Emily every day. As I say, we've gone on to The House of Fortune, and I have managed to read my pages for the day. Look at me go! Currently we are up to chapter 17 or page 209, and yeah, in the next 4 or 5 days we'll be finished with this one as well. This one is a lot lighter in tone than The Miniaturist. I also feel like you can really tell that Jessie Burton has developed as a writer from her debut to this book, which came I think 8 years later, and yeah, really enjoying this so far. I also managed to finish off 2 other books in this week. Firstly, Blood, Fire and Gold by Estelle Paranque. This is a history of the relationship between Elizabeth I and Catherine de Medici, and basically goes through the Anglo-French relations in the mid to late 16th century, which I think is a really perfect follow-up if you read Young Queens earlier this year, which was looking at Catherine de Medici, Mary Queen of Scots, and Elizabeth de Valois, who was Catherine de Medici's daughter. This is like the perfect successor to that, to give you a little bit more context on the relationship to England as well. And then my favourite thing that I read was fiction. It was The Good Wife of Bath by Karen Brooks, and I wasn't really sure what I was going to make of this one, and obviously more thoughts to come in a dedicated wrap-up. But this is basically a reimagining of the life of the wife of Bath in Chaucer's Canterbury Tales, kind of this idea of the true life behind her, though we know it is fictional. And I just love this characterization of Alison, or as she starts off being Eleanor, going from her young marriage when she was just 12 years old, all the way up through all 5 of her marriages. In this story, she actually knows Geoffrey Chaucer, and they have a friendship, and how that friendship is tested when he basically uses her life as inspiration in his tale. And yeah, like I say, more thoughts to come, but I thought this was really well done. And yeah, aside from The House of Fortune, I am currently reading 2 books. I've started off on Firebrand by Elizabeth Fremantle, which is her depiction of Catherine Parr. I'm not gonna lie to you, I'm finding this a little bit hit or miss. We've already had references to Catherine being really good with her herbal remedies and showing, you know, that kind of historical witchy wise woman trope that I don't necessarily like. It is quite subtle at the moment, but I'm not quite sure how I feel about it. We'll have to see how we go. And then we also have The Lady of the English by Elizabeth Chadwick, which is historical fiction of the life of Empress Matilda, who we know that I love. So yeah, please do let me know if you've got any thoughts on these 2. In terms of things that I've been doing aside from reading, I mentioned last week how I am slowly but surely trying to get through all of the films and TV shows that I've kind of accumulated in my life. I'm really bad at watching things that are new to me, and I'm really trying to make a concerted effort to stop putting off those things. This past weekend I ended up watching all of Cranford, the BBC adaptation of Elizabeth Gaskell's work, which I think came out in 2007. I haven't yet watched Return to Cranford, but I'm quite keen to. And I just found watching this adaptation so delightful. It's got all of the big names of British acting, and I just love the humour. I feel like if I try to explain like little anecdotes in this series for somebody who hasn't read Cranford, you might find it a bit ridiculous, but that's kind of the point. It's meant to be ridiculous. It's this very small town who like to have a bit of a gossip, but at the end of the day, they do all come together as a community when they are required to. But the show doesn't shy away from darkness and how certain members of the community may be being mistreated. But there is also that levity and that humour about it that I really enjoyed. So yeah, I don't know how it's taken me this long, but I am glad to have finally watched Cranford. And I thought I would also give you a little bit of an update on some other things that are in my DVD collection that I haven't watched. As I say, I have a really bad habit of going into charity shops, going into the DVD section, and it'll be like 5 for £1. And if I see 1 or 2 that I really like the look of, I'm just kind of like, oh, I gotta have it, I gotta take it home. So yeah, I have accumulated a bit of a collection of physical media that I haven't yet watched. And that isn't even to mention my watch list on places like Netflix or Amazon Prime or Disney Plus. Oh goodness. I have a lot of things that I need to watch. But yeah, in my case, I have Sense and Sensibility. This isn't a version that I've seen anyone talk about, but it is a BBC one from, I don't even know what year this is from. The DVD says 2005, but I feel like there can't have been a 2005 one and a 2008 BBC one. This looks kind of like it's 70s or 80s. I've got The Impulsions of Being Earnest, Little Women, the 1994 one, which I have seen, but not recently, so I would quite like to watch. We have lots of editions of Les Miserables. This one is the 98 one that has Geoffrey Rush and Liam Neeson, Mansfield Park with Billie Piper, Emma with Kate Beckinsale, Booksmart, I've heard very good things about that but never seen it. We have another Persuasion, which I think is from 95, another Sense and Sensibility, this time the 2008 one, which I have seen, but once again it's been a little while. Elizabeth I with Helen Mirren, Les Miserables, the 1935 version, as well as underneath that I have the 1952. They came as part of a duo set. We have Lady Jane with Helena Bonham Carter, not My Lady Jane, that's on Amazon Prime. Far From the Madding Crowd with Kerry Mulligan, Wolf Hall. Yeah, so this is my secret shame, is that I've only seen like half of the original series of Wolf Hall, and I desperately need to watch it before the adaptation of The Mirror and the Light comes out. BBC's Jane Eyre from 2007. I can't believe I've still not watched this. Another version of Mansfield Park, I'm not even sure when this one's from, but it looks kind of old. Wuthering Heights, the one that has Ray Fiennes, The Mayor of Casterbridge, Kenneth Branagh's version of Hamlet, which I believe is completely unabridged and is about 4 hours long. We then have an RSC production of Hamlet, which stars David Tennant, and then finally Elizabeth R, which is a TV series all about Elizabeth I. I also recently picked up Franco Zeffirelli's Romeo and Juliet, which I have seen individual scenes from, but never seen it the whole way through. And then finally, the magnum opus to my physical media to be watched pile is a box set of the 1980s version of Anne of Green Gables. At long last, I finally found it. I was kind of lamenting to my friend Rachel about the fact that I can never find this. There is no good place to stream this. And then she sent me a link to somebody who was selling it on eBay, and I pounced on it. I was the highest bidder, and now I own this. I haven't yet watched it because I know my mum really wants to watch it as well. So hopefully this next week when I go up north, we might be able to plough our way through this. But yeah, a lot to get through. As somebody who rarely watches new to me things, this is going to take some time. But do let me know if you've got any recommendations, anything that I should prioritise over others. I would love to hear from you. Finally, for this little bookish catch-up, I'm going to go through the inspirational quotes jar. This is a little quote jar, one for every week of the year. Inspirational quotes by amazing women. Thank you to my best friend Sophie for this. Have a little dig around. And the quote is, "Don't live life in the past lane" by Samantha Ettus, who I have never heard of. Who is she when she's at home? Samantha Ettus is an American entrepreneur, author, speaker, TV contributor, and podcast host. She is the founder and CEO of the payment processor Park Place Payments. Also never heard of that, but it is a very good quote. Don't live life in the past lane. Do let me know what you have been reading this week. If you have any recommendations for books, for films, for TV, or anything else, please do let me know. I'd love to hear from you. I hope you're having a fantastic, fantastic day, and I look forward to talking to you again soon. Thanks. Bye.